this week. I want to discuss something that I've been doing actually for over a decade now, and that is painting. I recently got given a commission for like a mural in the local area. There were like, I think it's 13 or 20 pounds, I can't remember the precise amount, but then there's between 9 and 13 artists involved in the area where my studio is. There are some panels on a street over across the road. I'm sure I'll get around to showing you the panels in the upcoming months, and they're in need of some imagery to put on there instead of stock photos of the city and the surrounding kind of iconic buildings and locations in the city. They want to use local artists' work decoratively instead. And that kind of led me to think, what is it that I want to put on there, and why do I want to put that on there? So yeah, to bring it back around to painting, you can see two fresh, beautiful canvases that are ready, new, stretched and primed, and yeah, ready to be painted on. So I'm going to move them into the painting area of my studio. It's ironic, this is the painting area, but this is just for coating the construction works, and basically I want a bit more of a cleaner area to work with my oil, to work with oil paint. Yeah, a bit more about the style that I do. I call it quadrilaterals, and it's basically because it's just a series of squares in a gridded formation, usually, and there are these kind of underlying ideas behind why I do this. And I suppose fundamentally it's about how everything is a square and everything is the same, yet each square is unique and individualized, and there's a simple yet powerful message in that, you know, that kind of resonates for me, where, you know, we're all human and we're all unique and we're all individual, yet, you know, we're all human, we're all the same. And I think, you know, a lot of the time we kind of forget that, and yeah, it's just a kind of poetic play on that idea, really. So yeah, I'm going to jump right in and start working on these, and as I go along I kind of want to give you a bit of a history of why it is that I'm doing this, and the entire reason that I think yeah, abstract expressionism has been important in my work, and how it's had its influences on me, and why I do what I do within my oil painting. So I know for a long time you've seen, for the last 9 months or so, you've seen me working primarily really on the constructions units, but this has been something that I've been doing for a few years more than this, my oil painting, and yeah, it's quite important to me, and I just think this is going to fit much better as a style of work in the local area than the constructions are, and that's because of the kind of underlying reasons that I mapped out a minute ago. So yeah, a little bit more information. I'll first work with charcoal and map out a gridded area, and yeah, I'll probably just work on one today and see how it goes, and work on the next tomorrow. And yeah, I'll pause after I've done one base layer and kind of explain what it is I'm doing, and a few more ideas. Okay, so let's take this canvas over here. So just a little bit more about it. It's a simple stretcher. You've seen me making canvases. You can look at a canvas tutorial I made a few months ago, a few months ago now. And yeah, it's primed with rabbit skin glue, a natural, very traditional yeah, glue. And yeah, that gives it a very hardy undercoat, which prevents the oil paint in years to come rotting the canvas away. Not rotting, but, you know, eating it. And we're going to end up with something like this in this top corner. It's a piece that I've been working on for a few weeks now, and I'm going to do something quite similar to that. Probably more in blue. Yeah, I'm feeling blue, and maybe something a bit more sporadic in red. So I'm going to jump right in now. Check it out. Hey everyone, so welcome back. It's the day after I've painted this. I've just come down, I've seen it again, and I'm really quite happy with it. It's the first kind of undercoat, and yeah, there's no point playing around with it anymore, because basically all the whites and the blues are just going to mould into one another, and what I want to do is wait for this first initial layer to dry. Probably take about 3-4 weeks. I mean, it's oil paint, and some of it is quite thick, as you can see. So what I want to do before I start working on the next piece is just talk a little bit about why I'm doing this. There's a really large history that I'm kind of tapping into here of abstraction, and I mean there were eggshells, and I think it was like wooden beads or ivory beads that were found from between 70 to 100,000 years ago, with these abstract markings on. I mean, it's a very, very ancient form of art, abstraction. It's a very ancient form of our culture, and I guess right now we kind of forget that. You know, we think of realism and we think of kind of depictions of reality rather than these abstract painterly creations. When we think of art, and I don't put as much importance on that within my own work. I think this is much more interesting for me. Developing this style, I was really interested in Rothko, Newman, Pollock as well, Jasper Johns, and I suppose it's an amalgamation of all those sort of influences that have then led to this, on top of that kind of ideal that I discussed earlier about the similarities between and differences in humans. You know, how we're all the same yet we're all different, and this is a pictorial representation of that. So this is the first time I've really worked primarily with an overtone of blue, and I want to kind of do something similar now in red. I think it's going to be a bit more you know, sporadic. There's not going to be such a strict structure of the square. It's going to be a bit looser and more flowing. So I'm going to put on some nice music now and do the undercoat of the red piece, and we'll see how that turns out. So that's the second piece, the undercoat done. It's also turned out quite nice. So there's a good pair of hot and cold going on, and yeah, I'll let you know in the upcoming weeks what's going on with the exhibition, with the commission, sorry, and yeah, just waiting on a bit more information to see yeah, what exactly the plan is. So I'll keep you informed, and I will see you next week. Okay, bye then.